Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be reviewing Murakami's new collection of short stories called First Person Singular. This came out in English on April 6th of this year. Unfortunately, it didn't get a lot of hype, and I think a lot of people, even Murakami fans, didn't know that it was being published, which is really a shame given how much press his previous book of short stories, Men Without Women, got in 2017. I remember just walking around New York City, and you'd see Men Without Women in every single display window of all the bookshops. And I think to a certain extent, it could be because of the pandemic. But I think also, this is just a part of Murakami's career that in the past 10 years, his popularity has been declining somewhat, although of course he still has a very strong following and all of his books easily sell millions of copies, despite him getting many mixed reviews for his most recent books. So before I go into the stories themselves, I just want to talk about the physical book that we have here. So as you can see, this is the UK edition. I decided not to get the American edition, which has essentially a close-up shot of a Japanese macaque monkey. It's kind of a quirky cover, and in my opinion, I don't really like it. I just don't think it really fits with the vibe of Murakami, whereas I think this UK edition does a very good job. It looks like it's designed to be decoration in a cafe. You've got the monkey here. I think it's quite stylish. That's why I actually ordered it from the UK. I got it from Blackwell, which is my first time actually ordering from there, and they sent me this really nice bookmark to come with the book, so I definitely appreciate that. So looking to the book itself, this is published by Penguin Random House. It has 8 short stories in it. All of these short stories, except for the last one, which is actually the titular piece, have been published in the Japanese monthly literature magazine Bungokukai. However, half of these have been already published in English, 3 of them in the New Yorker and 1 of them in Granta magazine. In terms of how the print is, obviously there's a lot of white space in these short stories. The font is in a very large, well-crafted style. It makes for very easy reading. This is not going to be one of Murakami's, big tomes that you're going to be spending a month on. Really, for me, I read this book at a casual pace, and I was able to finish it within 3 days. And I think if you wanted to be a cynic, you could view this book as just a way of cashing in on Murakami's continued success, that millions of people will buy Murakami books just because they were made by Murakami. I think there is some merit to that, but my personal opinion is that if you are a longtime Murakami reader and you love his work, I think you'll find, obviously he's not revolutionizing Japanese literature here, but he's doing the things that he's always done, talking about memory, nostalgia, looking back at his life, not only as a young person, but also his entire writing career, kind of just distilling the main elements, his main themes into these 8 short stories. In the short story Cream, it's told from the perspective of a male narrator who's reminiscing about when he was a ronin, so a high school graduate who is having difficulty getting into university, and he gets invited to a piano recital by a girl who he took piano lessons with, but that he's not very close with. When he gets there, there's no one there at the piano recital, and he feels all lost and alienated, and ends up talking with a random old man who gives him some wisdom. In this short story, On a Stone Pillow, he reminisces about a coworker who he slept with once. He thinks about her tanka poetry, and obviously she kind of disappears and is not part of his life. On Charlie Parker plays Bossa Nova, again thinking about Murakami's love of jazz. It's told from the perspective of a male writer who, when he was in college, he makes up this Charlie Parker album as a kind of a gag, and then when he's in New York City and he is at a used record store, he actually finds the record in real life. In the short story With the Beatles, it's told from the perspective of a male narrator who's reminiscing about a girl he met in high school who really loved the Beatles, and about another relationship that he had. In Confessions of a Shinagawa Monkey, much in the tradition of Super Frog Saves Tokyo, the male narrator meets a talking monkey at a ryokan, and they have kind of jazzy conversations about women. In the short story Carnival, probably the most explicitly misogynist thing that I've read by Murakami. Basically, it's about him reminiscing on a relationship he started developing with, quote, the ugliest woman he's ever met. In the Yakult Swallows poetry collection, Murakami explicitly makes this an autobiographical piece, and he just thinks about his love of baseball, talking about that classic tale where he watches a baseball game and then he knows he wants to become a writer. This is kind of riffing off of that. And of course, the titular piece, First Person Singular. I think this is probably the best out of this collection. It kind of captures what we all love about Murakami, which is kind of his general discomfort about adulthood. It's talking about how he kind of feels guilty that he has all these suits in his closet, but he never wears them. So he decides to put one on and go to a bar. And when he's at the bar, he gets randomly scolded by this woman that he doesn't remember. I think the book was worth it in some ways just to get to this short story, just because I think it does capture the loneliness, ennui in modern life that Murakami is so obsessed with. Overall, there's not too much to say about this book. Again, it's really not breaking any new grounds, but at this point in Murakami's career, in the past 10 years, looking at what he's published, I don't think any Murakami fans continue to read him because they think he's going to make this Nobel Prize winning breakthrough. Honestly, I don't know if this is cynical to say or not, but I do think a lot of the times the reason why we continue to read Murakami is just because we have this sort of nostalgia for the times when we first read him, maybe in high school or college. We're reading Norwegian Wood, Kafka on the Shore, and if Murakami wants to cash in on the nostalgia that his readers feel, I think that's fine. But I think also on a deeper level, you could really see this book as Murakami's last breaths in his writing career. I think we all understand that he's not going to be publishing any more masterpieces. I think we understood that after he published Colorless Sukuru and Killing Commendatori, that after 1Q84, he probably kind of exhausted his creative imagination. And now all that's left is for him to just sit and reminisce. But, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Murakami is a master storyteller, and reading him really feels like you're sitting at a bar having a nice slow drink with an old friend. And I think for all of us, we all can appreciate just sitting there and listening to your drunken friend spin a masterful tale. And I think that's what Murakami is doing here. And I think that, I've delved into all the major reviews, and this book, there are a lot of mixed reviews. Some saying that this is Murakami at his best, distilling his themes into masterful gems. And there are people who pan the book, saying that many of the short stories are just downright misogynist, and Murakami will never get out of this hole of objectifying women, which I think stirred a lot of controversy when Men Without Women was published. Either way, I think that if you are a longtime Murakami fan, you will love reading this book. You'll love adding it to the collection. I'll certainly be proud to have this on my bookshelf just because the book itself is so beautiful. So yeah, let me know if you like this video. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to be coming out with hopefully weekly book reviews. And if you have any suggestions for books you'd like to see, especially new ones that you think I should check out, please comment below. You can also support me through my Ko-fi page, link in the description. You can give a one-time $3 donation. It really helps me out and helps me purchase these books so that I can keep making videos for you guys. All right, well, thanks for watching.